Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 220. Don Knotts and Barbara Eden, part 2. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by over at Weaver's, pick up the 2013 wall calendar, or if it's not 2013 when you're listening to this, pick up something else. They got all kinds of things for Mayberry fans at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Head over there and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. I want to thank you all for your support and encourage you, if you want to, you can support the podcast by giving a donation. You don't have to, though. Right, Bert? That's right, Ellen. Thanks, Bert. Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Newsom, your host for Two Chairs No Waiting. That was Bert Miller. Say hi, Bert. Oh, hello, everyone. Oh, yeah. All right, see you, Bert. Bert Miller from over at Ben Weaver's. He's always around to add to the show. Hey, I want to thank you. I think I told you I'm Alan Newsom, your host for Two Chairs No Waiting, and it's great to have you here in Mayberry with me. Last week's show was part 1 of Don Knotts and Barbara Eden, and this week we get to hear the second part. It's about 18 minutes long, the interview, the final part of the interview. This is the final part of it. And this interview, just to remind you, was actually done almost 20 years ago on the radio station WBT in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was in April of 1993, and Don and Barbara were on I forgot how many cities, 19 cities, a number of cities, a tour, doing a play called the Last of the Red Hot Lovers. And so they were promoting that and going around and doing interviews and stuff. And we are so lucky that Jim Clark had a copy of this and was able to provide it to me for us to be able to use here on the show, you know, from the archives of the Andy Griffith Show Rio and Watchers Club headquarters. So I want to thank him for helping support the show and him, giving us this great information. And I know so many folks enjoyed it last week. So I'm not going to keep talking. I know you guys are ready to start hearing from them. So if you're ready, this is WBT in Charlotte, North Carolina, interviewing Barbara Eden and Don Knotts.
WBT.
She's doing the beauty movement.
Yeah, the Egyptian dance or whatever.
How did they get you in that bottle anyway? That's
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Now, when you heard about this, did you say, oh, no, this isn't going to fly? Did you like the character idea when it first was presented to you?
Oh, I loved it. But, you know, they had been testing girls for a year for this part and couldn't find someone. And they were all very dark and sultry, all the Miss Israels and the Middle Eastern types. And I just was never even thought of. And then one day, Sidney Sheldon called me at home because he really wanted someone who could play comedy. Mm-hmm. He didn't care about a glamour girl, per se. So he called me and said, I understand you're my genie. And I was really thrilled. I went down and had lunch with him, and we talked about it, and I got the part.
How did the naval thing all develop?
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
Oh, well, that wasn't, you know.
I know, of course not. Today it would be no big deal at all, but back then...
Yeah, but even then it was a joke. I'm trying to remember there was a syndicated columnist who used to come on the set, and he wrote for, I think it was Daily Variety. And he'd come down and say, I don't believe you have one. You know, we had a running joke, but it was just the two of us. And then he put it in his column, and then people would pick it up, and it would go across the country. And it was just a funny thing, you know. And then George Slaughter wanted to premiere my navel on Laugh-In. Well, NBC went into shock. They just went into shock. And they hadn't even thought about it before that. I don't think they would have cared, you know, before that. And all kinds of rules came down.
We saw Judy Carnes' navel every week.
Of course. Listen, we did 3 shows in Hawaii. Every girl on the beach in back of me had a bikini on. I had a tank suit on. I don't know why.
Isn't that interesting? You did 17 Bob Hope shows. Is that right?
I don't really know the number, yeah.
A lot. And you did the tour with him, didn't you? The overseas
tour? To the
tour
Persian Gulf, yes.
Man, oh man. What is that like, doing those shows like that?
Very interesting.
I mean, we're talking about primitive conditions for show business.
Yes, it is, but it's, you know, what you get in return is worth every bit of it. I have never felt so loved and so warm, and they are so thankful when they're under conditions like that. As a matter of fact, do you know, we had 3 guys on our crew who elected to go with Mr. Hope because they were so grateful to him for showing up in Korea.
No kidding.
And
Wow.
that just, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. It was the best, nicest Christmas I have ever had in my whole life.
What a nice thing to say. Nice thing
Isn't
to
that
say.
nice? And they're terrific TV shows. We always watch. Everybody always gathered around to watch the Bob Hope Christmas specials in wherever he was. You
Well,
know?
just know, none of us had any sleep.
What was the movie that, Barbara, what was the movie oh golly, Rose, what's her name, the singer?
Rosemary
Bette
Clooney.
Midler made about
Rose.
touring.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that movie?
Yes, I did.
What-
Yes, I did.
Did you think it was a better movie than I thought it was a good movie.
I loved it.
But the critics hated it, didn't they?
But I am so prejudiced. I adore her.
yeah,
she's great.
but there was.
Bette Midler and Dolly are my 2 favorites.
Did that catch a
you know?
little flavor of those tours that you did
Yes,
with Mr. Hope?
yes, they did.
Yeah.
They really did.
So it was not easy on you guys.
I'm like, no, because you got no sleep. They'd say, well, you have 3 hours now, and we would lie down on the floor of the plane. And luckily, I brought a big puffy coat with me, so I had a pillow, you know, a down kind of thing.
Now, the Andy Griffith Show was done on film,
You're right.
no audience. When you
No.
did, when you did Three's Company, it was done on, I guess, videotape with an audience. Is that right?
Right.
Which do you prefer?
I much prefer the way we did the Andy Griffith Show, because you can get more into a character that way, I think. At least it worked for that show. It was much the same way you shoot a movie, only of course we were working the same sets all the time, the same character.
Now, on a show like Three's Company that's done before an audience, do you stop and do certain lines again because you didn't get the right take that they need when they edit, or do you just do it like a play?
You do it pretty much like a play, and you do it twice, and then they splice it together. And sometimes if they miss something or something that wasn't right, they'll do pickups, little pickup shots.
Don, how did you and Andy, control's the wrong word, how did you get the influence on that to make it truly Southern in some of the sayings and some of the settings? Because he gives you credit as well as himself for having that sort of protection on the old Andy Griffith Show.
Well, I think both of us sat down and talked about it a great deal. But Andy would say, you know, he'd say, I don't think they would say it that way, you know, line. And we frequently talked about the way because we both grew up sort of rurally, and we talked about some of the stuff we did. And
But so many Southern shows, I'm putting quotes around this, movies and television shows, the accents are awful.
I know.
You know, and in the early days of the Griffith Show, Andy's accent was the old No Time for Sergeants
Right.
accent.
That's what he was
And he
gonna
modified that and said it just is too cornball, didn't
Yeah, yeah.
I want to ask about 2 people that you both worked with. I want to ask about Aunt Bee, and I want to ask about Larry Hagman, because you worked with Larry Hagman twice. Well, first, you know, when he was just, I guess, coming into national prominence on Genie, and then in Dallas. How did he change? Because we used to read all these weird, wacky stories about Larry Hagman. Like on Sunday, he wouldn't speak to anybody.
And it's no smoking stuff.
You know, whatever works for you. That's true. Larry is a free spirit. He still doesn't speak on Sundays.
Was
as far
he
as
like
I
that
know.
during Genie, or did that come as a result
It
of Dallas?
came as a result of Genie. It was in
Oh,
the middle of
really?
Genie that he decided, and it was, you know, it worked for him. So whatever.
Right.
He's a dear, very warm, giving kind of guy, and very talented. And he doesn't want to talk on Sunday. He didn't have to. You know?
Did you kind of pick up where you left off when you joined the Dallas cast?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, it was eerie. First of all, he doesn't like to talk about Genie a lot. He doesn't because Dallas is his big
Sure.
thing. And but when I was on the show, I remember the very first shot we did. Larry was way across the room, and I was ready to make my entrance, and he made him cut. He said, wait a minute, because he looked across, and he said, it's just like nothing has ever, it's years have just melted away, and we're back doing it again. And he had to get his character again, you know, because it was funny, and it was a very strange feeling.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know, Aunt Bee, Frances Boviet, never liked to talk about the Andy Griffith Show. She passed away not too long ago, not too far from here, as a matter of fact. And newspaper reporters were always knocking on her door. And she really was a very private person.
And fans would stop by her house and bother her, too, I understand. You know?
Was she always like that at the height of the show? Did she just come in, do the job, go home?
Pretty much.
That was work for her, Don?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I don't really know. All I know is that you didn't see her much, except when she came out to to do her part, and she was very nice. But apparently she was a very private person.
Yeah. So that was just a job.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound like casually, but it was to her a job.
Yeah, right.
Is there a I'm sorry, Henry.
No.
Is there a camaraderie when you're dealing for so many years with the same cast of people?
Oh, yeah.
Behind the scenes.
And we had a great camaraderie on that show. And again, I have to give the credit to Andy, because the star of the show, the guy and he's running everything at
sets the tone.
He sets it for everyone. If he's a good guy and a good guy to work for, and everybody's happy.
Well, you must have set the tone on Jeannie then.
Right.
What kind of tone did you set, young lady?
Really silly. Really silly.
Well, let's take a couple of phone calls because people are lining up to talk. If you put the headphones on,
Okay.
we'll go and do the thing here for a second. Hi, WBT, you're on with Don Knotts and Barbara Eden.
Hey, Mike and Henry, this is Neil Brower. How are you doing?
Neil, how are you?
Neil's an Andy Griffith Show expert.
Now, he knows everything. Be careful, Don.
I will.
I had one question that tied in with something you were talking about earlier. The Andy Griffith Show was filmed with one camera. I wanted to know how that was done exactly. Would you run through it once with a medium shot and then, for instance, run through the same scene again with close-ups, or how was that done?
Let me tell you why he wants to know, because Neil teaches a course on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
He's a pastor, too, Methodist pastor.
No kidding. Well, yes, what you said is pretty much it. You take a shot. It's a movie technique. You take what they call a master. If there were three people in a scene, you run the scene with all three people. Then you take the camera and you do a close-up on each person. And sometimes you'll take over the shoulders, to be over one person's shoulder into another person. It's a little different on each scene, but that's the way it's done.
Okay, thanks a lot. And people in this area really love you, and you're a great actor, and so is Barbara, actress.
How about me, Neil? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your career stopped when you joined me, Henry.
I know.
Hi, WBT.
Yes, this is a real pleasure to speak to both Don Knotts and Barbara Eden. There's been a rumor that's been circulating for several years, Don, that you were actually separated at birth from Mick Jagger. I've wondered if you ever like to play. You're the. I think of you as the incredible Mr. Limpid, and you always play the good second. I was wondering if you ever wanted to play a romantic lead, like maybe the life of.
He's playing a romantic lead in this play, isn't he, Barbara?
Trying to.
You betcha.
Yeah.
And then on you, Barbara, it's a rumor has it that you were very much related or have a lot in common with Eve, and that when you were playing I Dream of Jeannie, they never showed your navel, so rumor has it you don't have one.
We're going to see a caller.
No,
Later.
we're not. No, we're not.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. One more before we go to commercial. Hi, WBT. You're on the air with Don Knotts and Barbara Eden.
Hello there, Mike. How you doing?
Fine.
Hello, Henry. How
Hi.
you doing?
Good, thank you.
Miss Eden, I'd like to say that I respect you. Also, Don, I got something for you if they'll hang on for me. But Miss Eden, you were playing at the Valley Forge Hilton.
Oh, yes.
In 1973 in October.
Yes.
And I was a little blonde-headed boy that had just fallen in love with you because you were on Jeannie.
Uh-huh.
And other than marrying the beautiful woman that I did, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, well, thank you.
I walked in the breakfast room that morning, and I was at a regional sales meeting, and the guys that I was with dared me to go over and say hello to you. And I did, and you invited me down to have breakfast with you.
Oh.
we had Belgian waffles and eggs, and I'll tell you, I lived in hog heaven.
Oh.
That's a good term, Barbara.
Well, that's good.
It was so nice to have someone of such importance to really be so nice to me at that time. And I know you don't remember it, but I do, and it's something that stuck with me, and everything I've ever seen you in, I've always expounded on the fact that I had breakfast with you and how lucky I was.
Now, you've bought a row of tickets for the Red Hot Lovers, haven't you?
I bought everything.
Okay, good.
Oh, great.
Thanks for calling.
And wait a minute, no.
Okay, all right, quickly.
Don Knox, I'm gonna call you Barney just out of affection.
All right, thanks.
And I've got to hurry up and get off here because you're coming on Channel 10 in just a minute.
All right.
and I tell you what, you are the epitome of North and South Carolina, and on that program, and we love you to death, and I just can't get enough of it. And, just keep on doing what y'all doing because you're two of the greatest people in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
More of your calls for Don and Barbara Eden in just a moment.
Come and dance on our floor.
Don Knotts and Barbara Eden are here. Last of the Red Hot Lovers is also in town. It opens tonight at the Performing Arts Center at the John Belk Theater. First piece of theater to be there. 372-1000 for tickets. And we're taking your calls for Don and Barbara right now on WBT. Hi, you're on.
Hello, Mike.
Yes.
I'm on Interstate 20 between Augusta and Atlanta, Georgia station. But I'm really enjoying the interviews.
I think we're losing you on your mobile here.
Speak louder and quicker, caller, please. Oh, we lost it.
Oh, darn. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's a shame.
Calling between where?
Savannah and Atlanta.
Okay. Well, hi, WBT.
Hi, my name is David, and I like to say that I've admired both of your guys' work over the past few years. And my question is for Don Knotts. I have a picture that was taken of you and my father about 30 years ago at a TOA convention, and I'm coming to your show Saturday night, and I was wondering if there was any way you could autograph it for me.
Oh, yeah. Come on back after the show.
Uh-oh. You're letting yourself in for something now.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Where would I have to go so I can...
Well, the best thing to do is ask the ushers what you're supposed to do.
Okay, well, I appreciate it very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Do you get a lot of that? People want to stop you after the show and get autographs?
Yeah.
Take pictures
Yeah,
and things like that?
They come back. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hi, WBT.
Yes, hello. I'd like to say, first of all, I really enjoy Don and Barbara's work over the years. I'm a transplant from West Virginia, and we're happy to have Don as one of our own.
Oh. Where are you from?
I'm from Charleston, originally.
I think we're going to play Charleston.
Excuse me?
We're going to play
How
Charleston.
are you? No kidding. Well, Don, along with Jerry West and Charles Yeager, Chuck Yeager, are probably the three most famous West Virginians I can think of.
No, Senator Byrd.
Right.
Yeah, and his timepiece.
I had a question. I recently moved down to Charlotte, and I really found the Andy Griffith Show to be an institution down here. I think it's on more than any other program I've seen. And
Yeah, but they're going to start an Andy Griffith Show channel soon.
oh my!
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I remember. I think when I first moved down here, there was a big complaint. They were going to move the evening news up a half hour, but it was going to bump the Andy Griffith Show back, and there was such an uproar over it that they decided not to do that. So
That's right.
just a testimonial to the popularity, I guess.
Yeah.
But on a recent rerun, I saw Barbara on there, and I wanted maybe to hear some comments about Barbara on her early. I guess I don't know if it was an early start.
You were the manicurist, Barbara, weren't you? In town, you manicurist in town or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And drove Don crazy.
Jack Nicholson was on there a couple of times.
Right.
Don Rickles was on as a star.
Oh, yeah.
Guest star.
Yeah.
When you go in to be a guest person on a show that's so well established like Andy, or when somebody came on Jeannie, is it difficult for that person to fit in for those few scenes that they're in? Do you feel like you're interloping on a stock cast of characters?
Well, I didn't at that time because I was hired as an actress. I wasn't well known then.
I see.
So I was just playing a part. I was playing a character. And so
And she was excellent.
And all the guys went crazy over her.
Did they ever?
Didn't they?
That was
In real
fun.
life as well as in the play.
Right.
Thanks for your call. Hi, WBT.
Hi there. I just wanted to say something to Don Knotts. There are just so many episodes of the Andy Griffith Show that I think are so funny, and I've enjoyed you in so many, but there's one that I can just sit at my desk and think about it and start laughing, and people will just look at me and they think I'm crazy. But when Andy and Helen got married and you walked back up the aisle with them, it just cracks me up every time. Just think about it. And I just love your show, and I think both of you are marvelous, and I've got tickets, and I can't wait to see The Last of the Red Hot Lovers.
Hey, thank you.
That's great. For people who like both of your TV shows, the two main series that you've done, will they like Red Hot Lovers?
Yeah. Good question.
They'll love Don. They'll love Don. I'm not playing myself, so it'll be a little bit of a shock, I think, for the people who come to see me.
Well, I'm not playing myself either, though.
Yeah, but it's a little closer than what I'm doing, don't you think? I have a lot of four-letter words. And
Oh,
stuff.
no.
Yeah.
No.
I think that it's a different character for both of us.
There's a third woman in the play. Barbara plays two women. Who's the third woman? Who's the third character?
Francie Yarborough.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays the young girl in the second act who drives Don crazy.
The nervous weatherman again.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we'll have Don do a weather report for us in a couple seconds. We'll be back in a moment. was real easy to find the theme songs to all the shows that you've been on television. I want to thank you for that. They were
Upper
very
Valley
easy.
PTA, you didn't have that one.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We don't play Jeannie C. Riley. I want to thank you both for being here. This has been a real kick, and people who are listening should know that all of the sophisticated people who work in this building, who've had the opportunity to meet a lot of very famous and important people over the years because of this radio station and WBTV down the hall, who bring people in all the time. We have never gotten the reaction of the staff that we have gotten to the two of you being here. You can't get out the door. It's astounding. So I hope you pack them in at the Performing Arts Center.
I do too.
I do too. By golly, it's a funny show.
Those of you who want to see a fun show and the christening for theater, at least, of the Performing Arts Center, show opens tonight at 8 o'clock, runs through Sunday evening with matinees on Saturday and Sunday at 2. The Sunday performance is at 7. Friday and Saturday night are sold out, but there's tickets to every other performance.
What's that phone number?
372-1000. That's 372-1000. Or you can call the box office for tickets. And this is going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It was such a pleasure meeting both.
You're both nice people
Thank
as
you.
well as talented.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you so, and good luck, break a leg, and all that kind of stuff. And then they're going to be in Winston-Salem next week, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So those of you listening in Winston-Salem, you don't have to drive all the way to Charlotte, although you should.
All right. Well, folks, that was the interview with Don Knotts and Barbara Eden, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was on WBT in Charlotte, North Carolina, back in 1993. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the show. I know I did. There's a lot of great information on there, talking about the Andy Griffith Show, talking about I Dream of Jeannie, also another classic television show from back in the day. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I'd love to hear from you guys. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415, or you can drop by over at twochairsnowaiting.com, leave a message there as well. Just drop by there and leave a message, or drop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/2chairs. Any of those ways, I would love to hear from you. So you folks, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight, and we'll see you guys next week on Two Chairs No Waiting. Bye, everybody.